Greetings, Ted Auto here. BMW could have created one of the best all-around engines in the world. It's reliable, it's tunable, and it's in every model from the first series to X7. This engine can just fit in the truck and still run one of the most powerful SUVs, which apparently BMW likes to produce. Some even compare this engine to the famous Toyota 2JZ, known for its reliability and ability to withstand high loads, such as after the test in Mark IV Supra. So why is this engine being compared to one of the best in the world, and what makes it so popular? Let's take a look. So the 2JZ is the engine that was in the model that we all love so much, and this is the B58 from the new series. So why are they similar? The most obvious similarity is that they're both line 6, they both have 3 liters, and they both have turbochargers. Also, in spite of the different manufacturer, both can be installed in Supra. After a 20-year period, Toyota still turned to BMW to make the new engine. They received a lot of criticism for not making their own engine from scratch, but when it comes to the Starlight 6, BMW is the great choice. Most comparisons of the engine to the 2JZ have come about because of the B58 predisposition for the tuning. Video games, movies and the internet had given old Supra a reputation as an incredible modular car that can be endlessly modified. But any MX-5 owner will prove to you that not all the cars can be tuned right out of the factory. If you just plug a huge turbocharger into the engine without doing anything else, you will get a bunch of pistons and valves flying from under the hood and getting over the horizon. The main reason the B58 is compared to the 2JZ is that the engine can be called a tuner's dream. For starters, that version of the engine is in Supra has 335 braking power, according to Toyota, but independent tests have shown that braking power can be as high as 370, just like in previous versions. Braking power was also claimed to be 276 at the time, but the engine can actually squeeze up about 300. But if even this is not enough for you, 500 units are easily achieved after a couple modifications. These engines can even reach 700 units, and that's even not the limit. That's some crazy stuff. 17-year-old kids all over the country can easily buy their first series models, add some power and maybe install a turbocharger and get an easily made beast of 500 horsepower. So, what makes this engine so powerful and tuning-friendly? The bottom end of the engine is the great place to start. This part is stressed more than any other part of the engine. You can load any engine with any amount of power and give it any amount of a torque. But if the engine rods miss training, they will tear apart and send it into the stratosphere. Trust me, you don't want a hole in the bottom of your engine. To strengthen the B58's design, its lever is forged. And even though the pistons and rods aren't undergo that kind of matching, they're still pretty solid. It also has a thing called lever belt, and the 2JZ has one too. This belt reinforces the whole block by bending the bearing caps and bulkheads. In addition, the B58, just like 2JZ, injects oil clearly onto the underside of the pistons for extra cooling. The twin-scroll turbocharger is another reason why it's so easy to get good results without taking the engine apart. With such a turbocharger, decent boost is a matter of usual remap, and you can easily get up to 400 brake power with the B58. A rather unique part of the engine design is the water-to-air cooler inside the intake manifold and after the throttle, and despite the incredible horsepower, the cooling is more than adequate. Another reason for comparison is over-engineering of B58 parts. So, maybe BMW and Toyota originally created these engines for tuning. I would say that it's more for reliability reasons. While there are some similarities over 20 years of difference, there are certainly differences to be found if you look closer. Technological advances in the engine silently to us that the B48 is much more complex than the old 2JZ. Electrical controls and all the monitoring involved, like the regulator, intake column lifts and even the thermostat. The B58 also runs on chains instead of belts and uses only one blower tube instead of dual. The 2JZ was incredibly heavy, it weighed about 200 pounds because of the iron block. The B58 on the other hand uses the aluminum block and weighs about 140 pounds. It is a modern engine, so it has a lot of plastic parts including the intake manifold and cam cover. The old engine has been around for a while now, and this shows how reliable it is compared to the B58, which is only about 5 years old. So the 2JZ has honestly earned its title as an armor-strong engine. Whether it holds up to the standards or squeezes to the limit reaching 800 brake power, it has been tested in every possible way. It also means that many people have worked with this engine for years and know its inside and out. Everything that could happen to it has already happened, and the car enthusiasts have made their conclusions from it, which subsequently provided a huge selection of the alternative parts, which allowed squeezing even more power out of this engine. Comparing 2JZ to BMW's engine so far is not even fair, unless it's to prove the reliability of the 2JZ and its variety of tuning. Will all these parts be able to survive the long distance and years to use? Only the time will tell, but I cannot definitely deny that all this extra electronics can make the engine less reliable years after. Overall, the B58 engine wasn't all that profitable for BMW. There were some reliability issues with it, nothing serious, but still. Some engines had problems with dirt slipping on the filters, which wasn't great either, but like was said before, they are used in a huge number of cars, so it's not surprising that there are some minor problems. But what's amazing is that B58 is the beast not only for regular cars, but also currently used in M3 and M4 with the new name S58. And since it's an M engine, BMW has gone a long way. They use forged pistons and rods to high-pressure fuel pumps and twin turbochargers. And as a result, the standard output is 500 horsepower. This engine is also used in BMW M4 GT3, race car again with the new name P58. And it's similar to that used in standard cars with the same headshaft, cylinder block and rods. However, despite the fact that B58 is so good, the Supra crowd were extremely unhappy with the fact that their new car is powered by BMW's engine. I think Toyota made the right choice to go into the BMW for the Supra engine. Yes, it might have been nice to see a 3JZ, but just imagine how expensive it would have been if Toyota had built straight 6 specifically for this car from scratch. And even if they had made it, who's to say it would have been even close to 2JZ? They would have had to design it with all the emission targets in mind, and that it would still be suitable for the 5th generation of Supra. The cost of such design would have likely eliminated the possibility of building such a car. And that's all for now. This story was brought to you by Ted Auto. Like this video and subscribe to the channel. And remember, car is more than just a transport.